President Joe Biden announced that he is running for re-election on Tuesday this week, and he might even be aware of that fact. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. And gentlemen, I've never seen anything like this before. You've never seen anything like this before. And Bill, I'm going to set you up first on this one because you've been in Hollywood a long time. You've been an editor. You've been a filmmaker. You know all about this stuff. So you know about the what do you call? I guess the pomp and pageantry that goes into a presidential announcement. Trump coming down the gold escalator, you know, the huge throngs of people cheering and waving signs and all of that stuff.
Right.
And when it's a president running for re-election, all of that stuff is built in and amplified because you've got all the trappings of the presidency to go along with it. And Joe Biden did none of that. His people released a video in the wee hours of Tuesday morning, this pre-packaged, slickly done turd of a video. And I call it that because this is not a campaign re-election announcement the way we've ever seen it before, because it lacks all of the things that get people excited about a race. Now, again, I'm going to lean on your knowledge as a writer, as an editor, as a filmmaker. What does this tell you about this candidate and this race?
When I was editing a show called Sunday Morning Shootout, which is what I did before moving to PJTV, was a talk show with Peter Bart and Peter Guber, inside movie talk show on AMC, ran for 5 years. And I got a call about an hour and a half before we had to deliver a show for the upload on it, take it down to the satellite place. And it was Peter Guber saying, I just watched the rough cut of the show. He'd already given me the notes on it. He said, I just realized I said that, now I have to remember if I got this right. He said, I said that Olympic Boulevard is south of Los Angeles Boulevard, but it's actually north. It makes me sound like an idiot. Is there anything you can do? I said, yeah, no problem. So I just found a word that sounded like north or south, and I cut it, copied it, and then I put it in there and tweaked it a little bit, went to a reversal of Bart while he says north of, and then the next thing he says is south of, or whatever the heck it was. And it's absolutely seamless, absolutely seamless. He called me back and said, it's just, thank you, it's brilliant. It's like, no problem. Make people say whatever you want them to say. When you have to edit something like that, Steve, you are admitting that the person who you are, well, let's just take it from Joe's point of view. No, it's pointless to take it from Joe's point of view. The people who made this ad, the people who made the decision to announce this way, realized that the person that they are promoting for president of the United States cannot be trusted to make an announcement live, even if it's a 2-minute announcement, without questions. His famously absent from live question events and press conferences. The latest video of him once again has him walking to the wrong end of the stage and just standing there looking out into space. I don't mean to, I bring this up every now and then when the subject comes up just because of the personal experience of it. But my mom had Alzheimer's and dementia, and I know that look. Yeah. That's not a hey, I'm thinking look. That's a I don't know where I am look. And I've seen that on the President of the United States' face many times. And for those people who say, oh, you're imagining it or you're exaggerating it, then my response to that would be, then why is he doing this in such a, as you say, Steve, kind of a low-rent dollar store fashion? Middle of the night, late release why is he not in front of cheering crowds? And the only answer I can come up with is, number one, I'm not sure they could get the cheering crowds. And number two, I don't believe they trust him to go out there and even read from a teleprompter anymore, because he is prone to go off prompter. And when he does, it's kind of an adventure. This is not something we should be laughing at. This is not just tragic. It's dangerous. It's terrifying. And yet it's something that everybody knows, and we all just kind of shrug it off. Yeah, the President of the United States is in severe cognitive decline, and he's not just stumbling over words. The lights are on, but there's nobody home. He just again and again and again makes it crystal clear to me he doesn't know where he is or what he's doing. And by the way, there are clips that are available, taken from long lenses and so on, from reporters and so on, where after the president is off the Rose Garden or wherever the hell he is, and there's like 3 Secret Service agents, and one of them is beckoning this way, and then he walks to the next guy, and he's about to keep walking. I've seen this on video with my own eyes. No, Mr. Brennan, in through here. Oh, okay.
Wow, I haven't seen that one.
What do you say about that? And this cognitive decline, guys, doesn't reverse itself, and it doesn't sit still. This is what he's doing in his first term. And just the mere fact that somebody is putting his name in for renomination, what do you say? Let me just close with this. Ronald Reagan served 2 terms as president. Ronald Reagan was often accused of being senile and feeble-minded and all the rest of it. Many years after his second term, well, I guess it was 3-4 years, something like that, Ronald Reagan had forget the class. He had the self-confidence, he had the honesty, the character to basically write one of the most astonishing letters ever.
Yeah.
Ever. He wrote a letter to the American people saying, I have got a debilitating mental disease and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And while I am still able, I wanted to say goodbye to all of you and to thank you for all the opportunities you've given me. That's what you want a president to do. You want somebody to say, I'm incapacitated now, and my duty to my country is to walk out of here before I make a terrible mistake on the job that costs people's lives. And
yeah, I know. I laugh or I make a sound kind of like laughter, but it's either that or cry.
It's not funny. It's just embarrassing.
That's the word.
It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. Scott, one of your favorite movies, I know from our conversations over the years, is Dave, which is really just a charming movie where it's Kevin Kline, right? I haven't seen it in quite a while, but I believe it's Kevin Kline who is brought into the White House to impersonate the president who has become incapacitated, and a guy, it looks and just sounds just like the president. Okay, and it makes for a very cute movie. But here we have a situation where there's no replacement for the president. There's not they don't have a substitute Joe Biden shoved in the closet or growing in a lab in Wuhan or somewhere. They're actually stuck with this guy. And then it dawned on me, they're not stuck with this guy. There's a whole primary process that actually kicks off before the end of this year. There are debates they could be having. There are, I suppose, somewhere maybe some solid Democrats who want the nomination. There's RFK
Robert
Jr.
Kennedy Jr. is going for it. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it about this cabal that thinks that propping this guy up with the saddest campaign announcement I've ever seen at the presidential level is a way to move the country forward?
Well, there are a number of thoughts I had, and I watched the video announcement, which was hard to find. I hate searching YouTube for stuff because I was like, just show me the actual video, and all I could find was people commenting on the actual video. And
same.
Eventually,
I went through the same process this morning.
That would be fairly obvious, right?
That should be the number one answer.
It would be fairly simple to find the President of the United States announcement for re-election.
Yeah. So as it turns out, it was on the Joe Biden channel, which I eventually found, and I watched the video. He's not the first political candidate to announce his candidacy for office with a video. So I know that there are a lot of people on the right are saying this is unprecedented. It's not unprecedented. Other people have announced their candidacies that way and then usually follow up with some sort of public event where they do it. It doesn't always happen with a guy riding down a golden elevator kind of thing. On the other hand, he's president of the United States, so he could pretty much do it any way he wants, and he chose to do it this way. The criticism of him during the 2020 campaign was that he never left his basement in Delaware because of COVID. But there's a whole different set of expectations now upon him because you're no longer, you don't have the excuse that you're shut in, and so for the good of the people, you're going to restrain yourself to remaining at home and campaigning from a distance. There'll be an expectation that he's going to be out there pressing the flesh and talking to people and greeting people. And indeed, he's scheduled to make a speech by the time this airs. He probably will have made it to some union group. He prides himself on being the most union-friendly president in American history. But there were a couple of things about this. And by the way, we thought, or many people thought in 2020, there's no way this guy could win because he's losing his marbles. That guy who was losing his marbles in 2020 is president of the United States.
They did it once. They can do it again. Yeah.
Anybody who says that it's not possible for this person to win is whistling past the graveyard. So one of the things I noticed about the video is I thought an unusual number of shots of Vice President Harris. Also, an unusual number of shots of Dr. Jill Biden, the First Lady. Lots of images of brown people, lots of union-looking kind of stuff. And the campaign is saying basically our first term was about freedom. And now let's finish the job. And they
it's still alive.
That's right.
There's still shreds of it remain.
So we want to enhance freedom. He goes after Republicans for two major things. Number one, for jeopardizing women's health care, which means, of course, banning abortion in some kind of context on a state level. And then the other thing, which I thought was interesting, is he says Republicans want to take away your Social Security. There's not a Republican I can find who will stand up and say that in public anywhere, nor will he do it if elected to office. Even if he said he was going to do it, they're not going to do it. So there's no case being made from the Republican side that we need to get rid of Social Security. But the president of the United States is saying that the other party, if elected, will take away your Social Security, something the other party has no ambition to do. So I thought that was a little weird. Hillary Clinton, remember her? She was interviewed by, I think, a British reporter. And the British reporter basically said, the president is now 80 years old. He's the oldest person to ever serve as president of the United States. And don't you think that maybe that age could be an issue? Because by 2024, when he gets elected, he'll be even older and stuff like that. And Hillary Clinton said, no, I don't think that's an issue. You just look at the guy's record. And she said, after all, I'm in my mid 70s and, and I feel like I could do the job. And the reporter says, so the reporter says, well, how about Hillary Clinton in 2028? And Hillary Clinton laughs in a way that suggests, oh, that's preposterous. Do you know how old I'll be in 2028? And I thought, yeah, you'll be as old as Joe Biden.
You'll be 7 years younger than Joe Biden, yeah.
That's right. So I don't think she realized, she didn't work the math out in her head. She's like, oh, no, I'm not going to be running when I'm 80.
Oh, that's priceless.
Yeah. So anyway, I just and there are Democrats running, not only RFK Jr., but Marianne Williamson is running again this time around and has not had the courtesy to step aside and say, well, we've got a sitting Democrat president, so why would you interfere with that? So I wonder if the frequent shots, this is reading too much into it, but the frequent shots of the First Lady and of the Vice President were basically to comfort people to say, hey, don't worry, Jill is young and smart and mentally sharp, and Kamala is waiting in the wings. So, you can go ahead and vote for Joe Biden one way or the other. It'll be okay. Somebody who knows what they're doing will be in charge from their perspective.
And if there's anybody
Steve,
who knows less, it's Kamala Harris.
I was just going to say, you said it just before you toss the question to Scott. You said there's no substitute for the president. There's no backup, and it turns out there is. and think about this. It's worse.
I know.
It's worse.
Well, and I will tell you, they showed video of Kamala Harris, hugging.
But they never showed her talking, did they?
She's not talking in the.
No, she's not.
I didn't cue in on that. Thank you.
And one of the things that you
No, of course she's
notice
not.
about the video of Joe Biden himself, it's almost all voiceover. It's almost all voiceover video. And the clips of him actually talking are generally like, I didn't count them, but I would say 5 words, 6 words, where you actually see him on camera.
Yeah. As
case.
an editor, Bill knows exactly why.
And
we
I'm
know.
saying that I don't think he's completely lost his marbles. I do think he can win this race. I don't want him to win this race, but so I don't buy into the idea that he's so mentally feeble that there's some cabal propping him up or whatever. Yes, there's a cabal propping up every president of the United States. Yes, Joe Biden's 80 years old and not as mentally sharp as, a man like him would have been at a younger age. Not him personally. I don't think he's ever been very sharp.
No.
But I would
But he used to be smooth.
I would not go down that path of thinking, well, people will see how mentally feeble he is and they will not vote for him. They absolutely will vote for him. They don't even
There's
care.
no question about that.
They don't even care who's at the top of the ticket.
This is the party of Fetterman, right? I mean, this is the party of Fetterman, Kamala Harris, Dianne Feinstein, and Joe Biden.
Excuse me. I don't think Biden's totally gone either, but he reminds me very, very much of my great-grandmother when she was in the late early stages of senile dementia. You could have a totally normal conversation with her, but the longer the conversation went on, the further afield she would drift until at the end of one conversation, I think I was about 16, 17 years old at the time, so she would have been in her mid-70s, I guess. She had called me by every male name in the family except for my own. And at the beginning of the conversation, she was very cognizant and very aware and very engaged. But by the end, no. And this is where I see Biden when he's in these longer things, and that is why they keep him in these short things. They have to clip together these videos out of so many little various slices, and they still don't add up to much. Biden said that he's here to defend democracy and stand up for our personal freedoms. This was from his voiceover in the video. And we try and keep these segments to about 10 or 12 minutes long. So I'm going to spend the remainder of my time here listing the ways he has defended democracy and stood up for our personal freedoms. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make you sit here all day. What I would say is that Biden says he needs a second term to finish the job. And that's why we got to elect a Republican. All right, that's your right angle on that. Brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Hey, you know what? It's pledge drive somewhere, so it's pledge drive here. We got this doddering old man running for re-election. So if you've been watching these videos for free, why not become one of our citizen producers? Go to BillWhittle.com right now. Sign up today. We'd love to have you on board. Thanks for watching. And
you can pay for these 3 doddering old men, and that's a 3-for-1 bargain. Think about how much money you'll be saving.
I'm not doddering today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.